Hello, and welcome to today's lesson where we're going to work on calculating the volume of a cone, which would also work for the volume of a pyramid. Okay, formula is the same for either shape. Now, when we look at the cone slash volume pyramid conjecture, if B is the area of the base of a pyramid or cone and H is the height of the solid, the formula for volume is very similar to the formula for a cylinder or a prism that has the same base shape. So we know that when we're dealing with a prism or dealing with a cylinder, the volume formula is area of the base times the height of the object. Now, in this situation, we know that this cone is not going to take up as much space as the full cylinder, the same size. So what we have to know and understand is the multiplier that we're going to use to shrink this value down. Now, when we think about triangles compared to rectangles, we're dealing with a 1/2 multiplier. But with volume, it's a three-dimensional shape. So instead of a 1/2 multiplier on the front, we want to put a 1/3 multiplier on the front. And that's just a quick way to remember what the multiplier is in the situation, is the fact that it's three-dimensional for volume. We're going to divide by 3 when you're dealing with area, and you're shrinking it down, that's when we have our multiply by 1/2. So if we want to find the volume of this cone here, it is 1/3 area of the base, and my base is a circle, so I need pi radius squared, and we can put 3 in that spot, and then times the height of the object. Okay, now, once we've plugged all the numbers in, that's always the easiest part, first step. Okay, then we got to do some rearranging and simplifying. Okay, so we want to rearrange, put all the numbers together. 1/3 times 3 squared, which is 9, times 10, and then we'll tack the pi on the end of the answer. So now, if I want to bring these two together first, 1 times 9, 3 times 1. Okay, so we end up with 3. 9 over 3 is 3 times 10, and then we tack the pi on. And then we finish it up, and we end up with 30 pi, and then we can't forget our units. Centimeters cubed for the volume of this cone. Okay, now, most formulas are just going to be plug and chug. We'll give you the formula, we'll give you the pyramid, we'll give you the cone, and you plug the values in and find the solution. But now, the other types of problems that we're going to ask you to do is some solving problems. So when we look at this scenario here, we take away a value. We've taken away the height of this cone. When we do that, we have to give you something else, because all we can work with is volume. And we know that volume is the area of the base, pi times radius squared times the height of the object. Okay, so this is the only formula that we have to work with. And then we want to plug in everything that we're given. Okay, we're given the volume, 24 pi. Okay, we know we've got pi to start here. We have the radius of the circle, 3 squared times h. Okay, now we can't forget the 1/3 on the front of this formula. Okay, so now we have everything that we can use is now plugged into the formula, and we just need to do a little bit of simplifying. Okay, so we've got 24 pi equals 1/3 of 9 times h pi. Okay, so 1/3 of 9 is 3. So we have 24 pi equals 3 times h times pi. And now what we're doing here is we're going to go through and we have to do some of our simplifying work. Since both sides are multiplication, we can divide pi from both sides. That's always, if possible, one of the first steps you do is get rid of that variable that we don't work with or use numerically in most cases. And now we have 24 equals 3h. Divide both sides by 3, and we get a height of 8 inches for our answer. Okay, so when you're looking at these problems, the one thing you want to remember is what formula are you using? Plug in the numbers that you know or the numbers that you're given, and then work through to simplify and solve for the missing value. Okay, now our last example for today, using some of our other formulas, we're going to solve this situation. Find the volume of the cylinder with a cone removed. Okay, so in this situation, what we want to think about is what is the plan that we have to have here? And I just want to make a plan talking about the formulas. I need the volume of a cylinder, and I'm going to subtract, remove the volume of the cone. Okay, so I have to do this subtraction. Now, formula-wise, what do I need for each? I need the radius of the circle, which is the base shape for either of these formulas. And then I also need the height of the cone, the height of the cylinder. And in this case, the height is missing. Okay, the height is a missing value that we're actually going to have to work for and solve first before we can do our work. So I'm going to work on the left side here. And since I have a right triangle, okay, I can use the Pythagorean theorem, and I know that 5 squared plus h squared equals 13 squared. Okay, so I have to solve for the height first before I can do my volume work. 5 squared is 25 plus h squared equals 169. Subtract 25 from both sides. H squared equals 144. To get rid of the squared term, we have to square root both sides. Square root of h squared is just h. The square root of 144 is 12. So now I finally have the height measurement, and I can jump in and do my formula work here to finish this problem. So volume of a cylinder, area of the base, pi radius squared times my height of 12, minus the volume of the same the cone, 1/3 area of the base, 5 squared times the height of 12. Board's a little bit off here. Times 12 pi. Okay, so we've got our two formulas set up here, and what we have to do is we just have to go through and simplify. So we've got 5 squared is 25. 25 times 12. 300 pi for the volume of the cylinder, minus 1/3 of 300. Because if you notice, this is the same as this is, pi. So we have 300 pi minus 1/3 of 300, or 100 pi. So now you can see the relationship between the two formulas. Okay, we have the same base, the same height. The volume of the cylinder is 300 pi. The volume of the cone is 100 pi. So the difference between the two is 200 pi. and then we should always tack on our measurements, centimeters cubed. And that is the end of our lesson for today. If you're dealing with a pyramid, just remember whatever shape your pyramid base is what you would fill in for your area of the base, and then just multiply by the height of the object. Thank you, and have a good day.